Hey, greetings everyone. Glenn Kellaway from the basement. It is Saturday, December 9th, and it's time to start presenting my lists for 2023. I'm going to be doing 4 of them in total. This first one, which is the most important one, I think, is ranking the new releases that I purchased in 2023. Next one's probably going to be box sets that I purchased, and maybe throw in a few reissues in that video. Another one is kind of bands or artists that I discovered or rediscovered in 2023. And finally, the albums that got the most attention in the basement in 2023, whether they were released this year, last year, in 1965. These are kind of the top 10 albums that I played this year. So that's going to be the fourth one. Before I start, the year 2023 has been a very special year in my life. First of all, my birthday is June 23rd, so the number 23 has some meaning to me. It is the year 2023, so that ties in. My precious granddaughter, our first granddaughter, Juliet Rose, was born on January 23rd, one of the most special days of my life. What a life-changing experience that is. And they're coming to visit tomorrow, and I'm all excited. So, so this year, and I reached a milestone birthday. I turned 70 this year, so it's been a really, really special year. So let's just say that. And also, it's been a great year in the vinyl community. And thanks everyone for watching, supporting me, commenting. I appreciate you all so much. You have no idea what that means to me. I don't take it for granted at all. Thank you. So let's get started. First of all, an honorable mention. And then I got 10. So I bought 10 new releases in 2023. You could argue a couple of them, it's not new music, but a new release. So we'll get to that. This one is getting an honorable mention. The Trans-Canada Highwaymen, which is like a Canadian supergroup that just came out recently. It's made to look like a K-Tel album, Explosive Hits Volume 1. It is Stephen Page from Bare Naked Ladies, Mo Berg from Pursuit of Happiness, a dude from Sloan and a dude from The Odds, and I never remember their names. But this is an album of covers of cheesy pop songs from 1969, 1970, like Which Way You Goin', Billy, Rock Me Gently, the Andy Kim song. Now, these were all hit songs, but some of them were kind of wimpy as far as I'm concerned. You and Me in Mexico by Edward Bear. I mean, these are songs that I did not think were cool at all when they were out. But I think that's part of the charm of this, is that they covered those songs. And they do it brilliantly. Let me say that. And this is a fun album. But I didn't include it in my top 10 ranking, but I am going to give it an honorable mention. Now, coming up at the end, I'm going to present my Dust Collector Album of the Year. I'm calling it the Hackneyed Diamond Award. So stay tuned for which one of these albums gets that, and I'll explain the process, my thoughts behind it, what you have to do to qualify to become a dust collector, because it's a prestigious award. Okay, number 10. We are going with Steven Wilson's album, Harmony Codex. Very excited, waiting for this album to be released. And first impressions were good. And I love some of it. I don't like some of it. But I don't think it's Steven Wilson's best work. I still think that's Hand Cannot Erase, followed closely by The Raven That Refused to Sing. I'm not sure Steven has come close to matching the greatness of those albums in his last three releases. But Harmony Codex is number 10. Number 9, an album I just got in the last few days, and that's why it's ranked so low. Number 9, I've listened to it twice through and have sampled it once when I first decided whether to buy it or not. So I sampled it for 10, 15, 20 seconds of each track. And then I have skipped and revisited certain tracks. So I'm almost 3 listens in, and I am so impressed with this album. If I had it longer, I would have moved it up the ranking. It is Corinne Bailey Rae's Black Rainbows. Somebody said, what a depressing title. I never thought about that, but it is kind of a black rainbow. It's kind of depressing. The only word that comes to my mind to describe, or the first word that comes to my mind to describe this album, is schizophrenia. This is the most schizophrenic album I've ever heard in my life. It has, it's lyrically great. Her vocals are fantastic. I love the instrumentation in the album. Really just brilliantly done. Really, really impressed with this album. But the schizophrenia, there is a song on it that sounds a lot like Amy Winehouse. It's like very, that 60s soulful sound that Amy came up with. There's a song on here. What's the track listing for this frickin' album? I can't even find the track listing. So I'm not going to name the songs, but there's one song that does that sounds like that. There's another song that called Erasure, Erasure, Erasure. Anyway, it sounded like Larry Graves trying to pronounce a word there. Anyway, this song is so chaotic. It's like really heavy, like angry guitar, and her vocals really angry, and it's just like it almost hurts to listen to. And then there's a song that's like really like jazzy piano. Sounds like somebody you'd hear in a nightclub, just somebody playing piano and singing an old jazz tune or something. It's all over the place, but everything's brilliantly done. I think this is going to be a grower, and I think it's going to become a very popular album in my house. So number 9, Corinne Bailey Rae, Black Rainbows. And moving up, I'm going to put number 9 with a bullet. Number 8, the great Lucinda Williams. Now, Lucinda had a stroke a year or two ago, so it's limited her ability to play guitar and that, but she's come back with a vengeance. Her vocals are still... I'm a fan of Lucinda's vocals. I know it's one of those sounds you need to acquire, but I really think she's great. She came out with a really good, solid album this year. Stories from a Rock and Roll Heart. She came out with her autobiography this year, which was a good read, but my complaint, it's too short. Lucinda, she left the last 20 years of her life out of it, and that book should have been twice as long. But anyway, full of great songs. I mean, nothing really brilliant, but just solid, good kind of Americana music. Lucinda, number 8. Number 7, one of my heroes in life, the great Bela Fleck. Bela Fleck got together again with Zakir Hussain, the amazing tabla player, percussionist, one of the great musicians on the planet. Played with Ravi Shankar, played with George Harrison. I mean, brilliant musician. Bela, Zakir Hussain, and the incredible Edgar Meyer, great bass player and composer. They put out this album called As We Speak. I mean, absolutely brilliant playing. I mean, these are 3 master musicians. Amazing record as far as I'm concerned. All instrumental, but just beautiful. So well done. I believe it's nominated for a Grammy this year as well. But number 7, Bela Fleck, Zakir Hussain, Edgar Meyer, as we speak. Number 6, somewhat in the same vein, but bluegrass. Another banjo player, Noam Pakilny, who's in Punch Brothers, and Chris Eldridge, who's in the Punch Brothers, and I think Greg Garrison might be in the Punch Brothers too. I'm not sure. They put a band together called Mighty Poplar, which is more of a traditional bluegrass band. So good. This album's so great. And side 1, really just, if you like traditional bluegrass, you'd love this album. Side 2 gets a bit more folky and a bit more modern, I would say, too, in some ways. A bit more Americana. Fantastic record from these guys. Absolutely love it. Mighty Poplar. I wish they'd come to town. I would definitely go see them. That's number 6 on my list. Number 5, my girl. Where'd she go? Lucinda Williams. This woman can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. I love all her records. I think she's a cool woman. I follow her on Instagram. I'm a big fan of her music. My favorite album of hers is called Somewhere Else. Just a great rockin' album. And this new one was called Nothing Gonna Stand in My Way Again. Solid album. Every song is good on it. Great lyrics, always quirky and fun lyrics. Great vocals, great instrumentation. This album kind of rocks for the most part, and I'm a huge fan. Nothing's Gonna Stand in My Way Again. Lydia Lovelace, number 5. Number 4 is an album that came out recently. This is why I say this is one of the albums that really, it's not new material, but it's a new album, and I'm including it. Cat Power sings Dylan, the 1966 Royal Albert Hall concert. Man, she does a great job on this. I absolutely love this album. I couldn't stop playing it when I first got it, and I'm still playing it. Not as often. I can't play it over and over and over again every day, but brilliant vocals, brilliant interpretation of the songs. She doesn't really change much, but she still adds her own vocal inflections to it. She doesn't try and copy Bob. She's Cat Power on this album, and legendary set list from the 66 Dylan tour. The first album, it's 2-disc set, 2-album set. The first deals with the acoustic set, the way Dylan did it on the tour, and the electric part in the second album. Fantastic. Desolation Row sounds great. Visions of Johanna is great. It's just a great record. Number 4, Cat Power sings Dylan. Number 3, speaking of the man himself, another album where it's not new material, but it's a new album. Bob Dylan, Shadow Kingdom. Frick, man, this could be number 1. I'm telling you. I love this album. I love the interpretations of the songs, really stripped down. It was done in a club a couple years ago and just released this year, and the video has been on PBS this year playing. But fantastic rendition of those songs. When I Paint My Masterpiece kicks it off, and I absolutely freaking love the version of it. Tom's Thumb's Blues, What Was It You Wanted is fantastic on this. Pledging My Time is really bluesy. Freaking great record. Bob is he's the best. Okay, number 2 and number 1. Number 2. Man, I had a hard time with this. The only reason this isn't number 1 is because I haven't had it in my collection long enough. It just came out. But I think this is probably the album of the year if I'd had it a bit longer. Peter Gabriel's new album, I.O. Frickin' awesome. I love it. Waited 20 years for a Peter Gabriel album. Not me personally. I've been sitting waiting 20 years, but the whole world in general has been waiting 20 years. It is so strong. Great album. If you're a Peter Gabriel fan, you will frickin' love this album. Just brilliant. Tony Levin's bass playing is fantastic on it. The songs are all strong, lyrically strong. His vocals, his voice hasn't changed. I mean, the man's in his 70s and he sounds fantastic. What a great frickin' piece of work this is. Peter Gabriel, thank you for that. Number 2. And number 1 for me is Paul Simon's 7 Psalms. I think this is a beautiful record. It's actually one song, one track, but 7 songs all in one track, if that makes any sense. Song deals with spirituality, getting older. People say it's kind of about thinking about your final journey, and I guess it is in some ways. I think Paul Simon's kind of said, no, I wasn't really thinking about death when I wrote this album, but I mean, it's an album from a 80-year-old man, I guess, reflecting and whatever, but just beautiful album. Number 1 for me, Paul Simon, 7 Psalms. Great work, Paul. It's amazing some of these artists can still just come out with brilliant work. Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for, the Dust Collector of the Year Award. Now, here's what you have to be to qualify for a Dust Collector of the Year. You have to be somewhat of an established artist with some longevity and somewhat of a large catalog of music. So like if some band comes out now and puts out one album and then they go, oh, the second album we're all waiting for it because the first one was so good, and it's kind of disappointing. They haven't had a long enough career to attain this kind of status in the basement. So I'm calling this the Hackneyed Diamond Awards because I think that Rolling Stone Hackneyed Diamond, and I know people slam me for my thought. I'm alone on an island here. I'm just going from my own habits, listening habits, and my own buying habits, that I would buy that Rolling Stones album. It would sit on the shelf, and when I feel like playing the Rolling Stones, I am not picking Hackneyed Diamonds. I don't need Lady Gaga on my Rolling Stone albums. And I would be picking Beggar's Banquet and all the classic albums. This album cannot stand up to those albums. Stop it. Stop it. You'll stop playing the album. I guarantee it. If you don't, you're like a young fan who, isn't immersed in all that history of the Stones. Okay, so my album, that's the moment we've all been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dust Collector Award, the Swiffer Award, the Hackneyed Diamond of the Year Award goes to Steven Wilson, Harmony Codex. It pains me to give this award to this man. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of his remixing work and the work he's done with King Crimson and Yes and XTC and his work with Porcupine Tree. His solo work. I mean, Hand Cannot Erase is one of my top 5, probably my 5th favorite album of all time. If it's not 5th, it's 6th. And I think it's a masterpiece. This man is brilliant. I waited for this album. Like, I was so anxious when we heard last year he was putting out an album this year. It was going to be one of my thrills of the year. And it was hard to get at first. I had to order it from his website because domestically you couldn't get it. And I ordered the album and the CD. That's how much I wanted this album. And I put it on, and I wanted to love it so much. And first listen, because I wanted to love it so much, I did love it. And then I started not to love it so much. I started to get bored. And the last time I played it, I took it off halfway through. Like, I was so bored. And this album hasn't been played since. It is not going to get much love in this house. I'm sorry to say, I'm disappointed. It sits on the shelf. The vinyl sits on the shelf. The CD sits on the shelf. And know what it does? It collects dust. That's all. It's all the use it has in my house. So, Dust Collector of the Year Award goes to Harmony Codex, Steven Wilson. I hope you're proud of the award, Steven. And we'll be back with part 2 and whenever I get around to recording it. Thanks so much. It's been a great year. Thumbs up, please. Give me some thumbs today. Lots of thumbs. And we will talk soon.